Hi, everyone. This is Jonah Anderson, and welcome to Azure User Group Sweden. Today, I am hosting the session alone, live, but Håkan is actually backstage, tuning in and helping us in our session today. So I hope that you are doing great wherever you're watching this session right now, and we look forward that you will be learning something great and awesome today. And before I start, let me introduce myself. So I'm Jonah Anderson. I'm the founder and community leader of Azure User Group Sweden. I'm an Azure MVP, and I work as a developer and a DevOps engineer, and also as an IT consultant. And today, Håkan is also with me in the backstage, and he is also our community leader and also a great speaker, as well as AI MVP that we have in the community. But before we start our session and introduce our speaker for today, let me just remind everyone about our code of conduct. So, at Azure User Group Sweden, we do have a community that follows this conduct. So, we are expecting everyone to be nice and friendly, listen with purpose, and be thoughtful, be respectful to others, try to understand others and not criticize. Be curious to share your ideas to others, and be inclusive and respectful with your comments and questions, both in the live chat and even our after session fika. And if you have questions related to our code of conduct, feel free to reach out to me and Hokan anytime on LinkedIn or through our GitHub page. Okay. So that's our code of conduct. And to those of you that are learning with us today, we do have our Microsoft Azure Heroes Learner Badge. So the learner badges are actually given to those that are very passionate about learning Azure with us. And feel free to also add Microsoft Azure to your skills in your LinkedIn account because you deserve it. Okay, so our Fika link to the Zoom will be shared later on. And let me just bring in our speaker today with me. Let's see. Oh, let's see. All right. Hi, Juarez.
Hi,
Yes.
Jonah.
Hi. Yes.
How are
Welcome
you
to
doing?
Ash. I'm great. I'm great. Welcome to Azure User Group Sweden. Thank
Oh,
you
my
for
pleasure.
joining us.
Thanks for
Yes.
having me.
Yes. Let me introduce you if you don't mind.
Of course.
Yes, yes. So here with us today is our special guest, Juarez Jr. Juarez Jr. is a senior principal Java developer evangelist at Oracle. He was previously an Azure Developer Relations lead at Microsoft, a principal developer advocate for blockchain at Oracle, and a thought leader and technical evangelist at IBM. He has 27 years of professional experience in software engineering and developer relations, which is mainly working as an architect, engineer, developer advocate, and he focuses on a lot of things: workshop, content sharing, and everything from Java related to open source project for almost conferences and meetups around the world. And I myself have been impressed today of his profile based on what I've seen on his page. So welcome, Juarez, for being here, and thank you for joining us.
My pleasure once again. And thanks for the general introduction as well. I do
Yes,
appreciate that.
yes. Where are you joining us today,
I'm
Juarez?
in Dublin, Ireland. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
Brazilian, but I'm living here for 7 years now.
Yes. I was actually in Ireland 2 weeks ago, but I did miss you because I was in the North Ireland.
Oh, I see.
Yes. I'll visit Dublin someday. But we do have our friends saying hi. Ashish is saying good morning with some. I think it's a smiley there. We have Wayne from South Africa. He's also a community member. I believe Wayne is also working for Microsoft. And then we are also streamed on C Sharp Corner.
Oh, that's really nice. Thank you very much. And hi, folks. Yes, I hope you will like the presentation today.
Yes, that's right.
I'll do my
Did
best.
yes, yeah, you're gonna be great. You're the developer relations. Yes. Do you want to share your presentation or PowerPoint?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see that.
Okay. Yep. Um,
Okay, let's.
Not yet. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can. Let's.
All right.
All right. Rock the stage, Junior. It's yours.
Perfect. All right. So, hi everyone. As introduced by Jonah, I'm Juarez. Today we are gonna explore a new service provided by Oracle. In collaboration with Microsoft called ODSA, the Oracle Database Service for Microsoft Azure. I work as a developer evangelist here in Ireland with a focus on Java and data applications. And previously, I used to work for Microsoft here as well, so I still have a very good relationship and connections with the Microsoft community. So, without further ado, let's get started. I think Jonah did a fantastic job introducing me, so we can skip this slide here. But anyway, I have this QR code here, so if you want to connect with me and ask questions about these things, Java, but also the service that we'll explore today, and feel free to scan it, and we'll get to my profile on Linktree, and then you can find my social media channels and everything else there. Okay, 27 years of experience working in IT, also as introduced by Jonah, and out of that, 11 years in developer relations for several different companies. Currently, I focus on Java, cloud DevOps, cloud native, blockchain, and I do a little bit of Python, Golang, and Rust as well. Okay. Well, so let's talk first about the Oracle Cloud, because that's kind of important and the baseline to allow you to understand what we'll explore here today concerning this collaboration between Microsoft and Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Oracle, we have this portfolio of multi-cloud solutions and services, and also to an extent hybrid cloud as well. And that's interesting because usually some people, they confuse the terms, but it depends on the literature and in a different way that you can see it and the perspectives. But at the end of the day, when we talk about hybrid cloud, usually we are talking about on-prem deployments and systems and the public cloud, and of course, when we talk about multi-cloud, we are talking about the integration among different cloud players in public cloud environments and the providers, right? So Oracle has several different offers as part of Oracle's portfolio, things that are more related to the public sector and governmental applications, dedicated regions as well with OCI, right, which is it stands for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Exadata, it's a kind of a specific environment that we have for mission critical database applications, for example. With Cloud at Customer, we can actually deploy the Oracle Cloud to a customer's environment, and that's good for regions and some countries and customers where they want to have the full governance and achieve data sovereignty, for example. financial applications, countries like Switzerland, for example, and so on. The interesting bit here is the Microsoft Azure Interconnect. That's a service that started as part of this collaboration between the two companies to create connections and VPNs between the two clouds, Azure and OCI. So we have Express Route and Fast Connect, as you know, that. And now the evolution on top of Interconnect is the service that I will present to you today. I just have a few slides, just to give you a glimpse of what I'm talking about, because actually I want to go and show you the different consoles, and the service and how the interplay works. And I have a simple application here as well to show you how easy it is to deploy an application to Azure and then connect it to the Oracle Cloud and an Oracle database without being worried about those usual non-functional requirements like security, networking, monitoring, federation, identity access management, and so on. By the way, I'll take questions at the end, okay, just to keep the flow here, because I really want to allow you to see everything that I have to present here today. It's interesting first to start with this interconnection diagram, and currently we have 41 regions with 8 more planned for the roadmap and the strategy plan by Oracle. And out of that, 12 Azure Interconnect regions, so we are talking about data centers that are effectively collocated and interconnected to Azure. And that's nice because it only allows you to approach it, in a simplified way. Not only that, actually, sorry. And also it will be good because things like the data egress and ingress fees, they are not charged. You have better latency, response times, and connectivity. So all the benefits that usually you can get out of such integration, they are for you. Okay. Then Microsoft decided actually to improve this service, and in conversations with Microsoft, in this collaboration, then they decided to create a new service to integrate the best of both clouds. So you can see here, for example, we're starting with the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure at the bottom, which is our kind of IaaS and PaaS platform. We have different options in terms of data intensive applications. If we are talking about environments and database options that the customer wants to manage, the Oracle manages the infrastructure, but the customer wants to manage the databases, so perform tasks like DBA related tasks and and do patching, upgrading, and all those things. You can start with the base database service, which is a kind of more controlled and single environment, with just a few standalone database instances that you can run, but that's still a cloud provisioned database service. Then if you move towards my right hand side here, we have Exadata, which provides more mission critical features in terms of using clusters, for example, with RAC, the real application clusters that perhaps you've heard about. That's specific and provided by Oracle databases. But then we have the autonomous database on the right hand side here, which is a fully managed Oracle database service. So all those tasks that I talked about, things like patching, performance optimization, fine tuning, all the governance and all the concerns that usually you need to be aware of in terms of managing databases for mission critical applications, Oracle will take care of that. So you can see the arrows at the top here in terms of automation and this abstraction in terms of hiding all the complexity and so on. When we talk only about the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure along with the databases, those are the options. But now we have the service that I'm going to talk about now, the ODSA service, the Oracle Database Service for Azure. And you can see here, Azure has so many services that are somehow related and can be used with data-intensive applications, things like Power BI and Power Apps and Power Automate as part of the Power Platform, Synapse Analytics for DW applications, AKS for cloud native, app services for servers and web applications. They are all here. The cognitive services and APIs, IoT, Central, and all the other IoT services, Databricks for big data, and so on. Microsoft and Oracle, they decided then to expand and improve this integration, to make it natural to both clouds. They created the service, the database service for Azure, Basically, there are just a few steps that you have to perform in order to leverage the benefits of that. First, connect Azure and OCI, but that's quite straightforward. You just have to go to a console that I'll show you today here that resembles Azure. It has the same look and feel, the same organization, same colors, everything. That sits on top of the Oracle Cloud, of course. I'll show you the domain just to allow you to make sure. And then, provided that you can connect, then you just provide information about your Azure subscription to this service. Then you can go and easily provision an Oracle Autonomous database, and there are other types of databases there as well. And with that, you can just go straight to Azure, deploy it, an application to Azure, and provided that you have the same regions, for example. You can, of course, achieve more elaborate data and network topologies and work on more elaborated network paths. There are some different ways that you can also customize it, but my focus here today is just to show you what is available out of the box, as the default option. And then Oracle and Microsoft, of course, their engineering teams, they worked with all the design patterns, in terms of solution architecture and software architecture as well, and things like the Azure well-architected framework and a similar approach on our side here at Oracle, things like cloud adoption framework and so on. So beyond abstracting this complexity, and somehow providing an easy way for you to work with both clouds and concerning this integration between the two clouds, the good thing is that this is somehow another tool that you can have under your belt in case you have, those customers that typically, outsource their IT department, for example. So perhaps they don't have the DevOps guys there, SRE, and the cloud architects and so on. This is an option that perhaps as a consultant you can use to modernize their applications and maybe move applications from on-premise systems to the cloud, and then easily deploy, the database applications along the existing web applications to Azure. And then after that, in terms of governance, and monitoring and everything else, it will be easier for them to sustain the operations, and move forward concerning day two operations, for example. Yes, so this is just to give you a glimpse of what I'm talking about here. It was launched in July 2022 during the Microsoft Ignite event when Satya Nadella, Microsoft's CEO, and Larry Ellison, who is the founder, chairman, and CTO of Oracle, presented the service together. As I said, you can run apps on Azure and databases on the Oracle Cloud infrastructure with zero downtime, high availability. We have Oracle RAC on Exadata, as I said, the real application clusters, that's really amazing in terms of high availability. The SLA levels are great, in terms of replication, all those things that usually are provided by enterprise clusters. Latency is good because remember, we are talking about co-located data centers and regions here. So in terms of latency, and performance, there's no impact, even concerning that we are talking about two different clouds, but at the end of the day, they run, co-located. Scalability is good as well in terms of the data warehouses and in terms of the petabytes that you can have for the data stores and the databases. Nice thing, as I said, we have a kind of Azure native-like user experience, so the user interface resembles Azure just to allow you to easily work with the Azure portal, for example, and then go to the ODSA console and have the very same user experience. And connectivity with many services here, and everything else is automated, and that's the great benefit and the things that you can really leverage in terms of abstraction concerning, as I said, identity access management, networking, connections, and connectivity, monitoring, integration. By the way, for example, the Oracle database will create events and propagate them to the Azure side, so you can use Azure Monitor and the services under the Monitor umbrella, like app insights and log analytics, for example, just to capture and you also have, I would say, easy monitoring provided by that. Okay, the way it works, as I said, there's a guided cloud-to-cloud setup and integration step, in the documentation. I have it today just to give you, a sample of how easy it is in terms of the steps and the things that you have to perform. You go and you configure then the Azure subscription and, on the Oracle tenancy. And then you get everything, the handshake happens, federation, all the policies, security roles, everything else as usual, concerning security. The network configurations as well, monitoring, and so on. After that, you can go to the ODSA step 2 here. You can see a similar graphical user interface here. And there you can, create the databases, deploy them. You can also restore backups, perform the usual database related tasks. Interesting to say, there's a very interesting tool, a web tool called Database Actions, that you can just from this console open a tool that you can do everything, run queries, model your databases, for example. You can even run machine learning with the Oracle database, do Python notebooks with Python. You can do deep learning, machine learning, data analytics, data science, and so on. And of course, as a result, and as I said, you can see here as step number 3, monitoring is available as well. So you have those events that I talked about with app insights and log analytics. So this is the user interface. I just want to give you a screenshot just to allow you to, get a glimpse of it. You can see all autonomous database here identified and highlighted. You click that, and then you move to provision a database. The typical step is to inform the workload type. There are a couple of options: DW databases for, of course, DW applications, and OLTP for analytics, and the number of OCPUs that you want. If you want to enable auto scaling, for example, storage, inform what are your requirements. If you are using the included license, or if you want to bring your own license, for the databases, and the database version and name. And with that, you can provision the database. And these are the features then. You can create and delete databases, start, stop, and restart them. You can also use manual scale up and down instead of auto scaling. Download and rotate a wallet. That's interesting because with the Oracle database, there are a couple of different options that you can use to enforce security. The first one is what we call one-way TLS, where usually you just have the authentication enforced by security credentials that are provided by the client application. Or you can have also what we call MTLS, mutual TLS, where actually both sides authenticate. And for that, you have to use a security wallet that you can download from this console as well. I have a step to show you how to do so. Network access, as I said, you can create your ACLs and so on, and enable public access as well, because we are talking about initially an integration, concerning both services that I talked about, Fast Connect and Express Route. Backup and restore is there for you as well. So yes, let's revert to my web browser now, so I can show you. So this is the ODSA service. As I said, you can see that It resembles Azure, but at the end of the day, you can see that the domain here is multiply.oracle.com. Okay, so that is actually running on top of the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. In terms of configuration, when you go to enable it, it's just a matter of identifying the subscriptions that you listed. You have to perform some initial steps here, and then you select the very same location just to allow it to be integrated with no further steps. In terms of this initial integration, we have this documentation here, and there are just a few onboarding steps here that you can see. Just you can perform automated onboarding, for example. So you just inform the details of your subscriptions and the tenancy and so on, and everything else will be performed for you transparently. So as I said, guys, this is another interesting tool that you can have under your belt to perform, fast migrations, for example, enable customers that are not so used to these things in terms of having the IT guys to provide that expertise to them. After that, you can create some security roles as you may need, in terms of enabling the people who will be able to access or the applications, and the security principles and so on that will be able to integrate to this database. And then after that, it is actually the database provisioning step, the very same user interface here. But before I show you how to provision a database, actually we can do it now. So I create database, for example. I selected the workload, and you can see I have autonomous database here, the one that has the AI services running in background, to do things like fine-tuning, optimization, patching, and so on. But all the options are here as well. Exadata, VM, base database, even MySQL Heatwave, which is quite interesting as well. A fully managed MySQL service is here for you. Let me just show you how to create an autonomous database. You select a subscription here. You can select an existing resource group, for example. You provide a name, for example, MyDB Azure Sweden. You select the region, as configured here. Then you can move in terms of configuration, the workload type, as I said. If you want to run transaction processing or a database warehouse, a JSON database is available as well, a document-based database. There's a more specific one here for Oracle Apex, which is a kind of low-code tool that you can use with your Oracle database. OCPU count, I want to enable auto scaling, for example, my requirements in terms of storage, license type, for example, license included, and so on. Database type, if we are talking about autonomous, the current version, is 21C, but for this service, we are still running 19C. Database name, I can say my database, Azure Sweden demo. Okay, that's it. In terms of networking, if you want to have secure access from everywhere, you can use this option here, or you can also, and then you can use the wallet that I talked about, okay? And I'll show you where to find it. Or you can just allow access from allowed IP addresses for those options, for example, that you want to use security credentials and not the mutual TLS option with a wallet, but the single TLS option, for example. And then you have to whitelist your IP addresses, My example today, I can show that it is just a matter of going to the Azure specific service, usually the networking configurations, and you can get the outbound IP addresses there and add that to the Oracle configuration, okay? If I want to enable mutual TLS or not, in terms of security, database, username, password, and confirm password, that's for the tool that I talked about, the database actions, I will explore that again with my up and running database instance that I created for this demonstration here. I'm just showing you the provisioning steps. Of course, as in Azure, you can use tagging as well, review and create, and that's it, okay? But if I come back here, I have an existing database instance running here. The workload type is transaction processing. The location is East US, okay? So if I click it, so this is what you see when you create a database, okay? So you can see resource group, the status, location. subscription. If I want to see the database on the OCI side, I click this link. It will open the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure console in the portal. The user admin for the database actions features. If I click here, for example, database actions, that's the tool that I told you. It's quite nice because you have all things that you might need to work with databases here. The SQL tool to execute queries and scripts, but you can also model databases. I talked about Oracle machine learning, for example. It is here. You can create charts. You can enable REST APIs, and so on. But when I click SQL, for example, I will end up seeing this user interface here. So you can see I have just a simple query here, the very same one that I have and as part of my Functions app. I can just run it and you will see the results here. Okay. Here in terms of configuration, tagging, you have all the commands here: start, stop, restart, refresh, delete, for example. For the connection feature with a wallet, for example, I have a couple of options here. Okay, I can go in if I want to enable, and I have the documentation here. Remember again, if I want to enable mutual TLS or just one-way TLS, depending on your options. Mutual, you don't have to provide that. You just download the wallet, you unzip it, and then you point it to your data source. Okay. The other option, I just enable single one-way TLS, for example, and then I might need these connection strings here, okay, depending on your requirements in terms of latency and availability and so on. There are different ones that you can connect. You copy this string from here. In my Azure Apps application, for example, I have created a properties file. I have a link to this documentation here. You just provide the username, password, URL, username, and password here. The URL I'm talking about is this one here, okay, that I can copy here. Otherwise, I can just say, no, I want to work with mutual TLS. I click download wallet. You provide the password for this wallet here. So you can then go and have something like this here, Oracle wallets. So this is the wallet for this demonstration, and the wallet, at the end of the day, we are talking about some security certificates. You can see the .pen file here, an extension, the usual Oracle configuration files. There's a JKS file here as well, a Java key store, so that's a store. And then you can also point that as part of your configuration, instead of using the full URL here, you can just point it to your wallet. And if on the cloud side, the service is unable to use a wallet, that will work out of the box as well. In terms of configuration, again, you can see the workload type is ATP, autonomous transaction processing, CPU count, if auto-scaling is enabled, licensing included, storage, and so on. Networking, that's where you have to enable, for example, I disabled MTLS just because I wanted to show you the most difficult option here, or the most elaborated one, the one that usually we are using a one-way TLS, but you have to whitelist the IP addresses here, so you can see that it is actually MTLS is disabled, and typically you just go to your, for example, I have this function as a service resource group here. I just go to my function app, and you, of course, so you like Azure and you do all things Azure, so you click the networking tab, and then of course you will see the outbound addresses here, so you just have to copy them and provide them to the Oracle database side on Oracle OCI, ODSA, and that's it. Yes, and you can perform backups as well if you want, but that's it. So I can now move to show you a sample application, just as a quick demonstration, nothing elaborated, because at the end of the day, I just want to allow you to see how easy it is to use this option here as another tool that you can have as part of your options in terms of ideas and solutions to your customers. But by the way, I have this GitHub account, so you can go to ODSA, Oracle Database Service for Azure Function as a Service. So the Functions app that I have here, it's I would say just one simple function to show you how easy it is to, you can really go straight to Azure, deploy the application, and then provided that you are using the same region, everything will be connected, because I provisioned them to the very same regions, so they are somehow collocated. So everything else, provided that you are using ODSA, will be configured for you concerning those non-functional requirements that I talked about: security, networking, monitoring, and so on. And I have a blog post on Medium as well. So if you want to execute the steps again, just to get a glimpse of that, all the steps are here, including pointers to the source code repo. And by the way, I used the Azure CLI, but Azure, you can use things like infrastructure as code with Terraform, Bicep, Ansible, or you can use ARM templates, or you can use the Azure portal or the Azure SDK, so you decide. This is just maybe to simplify things. So I do everything from the command line here, including how to create the application and so on, how to deploy the application, and all the steps are here. And of course, I provide links to the documentation concerning everything related to Azure and the Azure Functions two core tools that I used. Let's have a look at the application then. First, I used this option here. Actually, the Maven, as part of Azure Functions, there are some Maven plugins for Azure Functions. Maven is a famous build tool that you can use with Java projects, and usually you create a POM file, okay? In this case here, I just wanted to easily deploy my FAS application to Azure and have that integrated to the database on the Oracle side. Quite easy. You just provide, in this example here, and if you go to GitHub to get the source code, remember that, and you can see the recording later as well. You can just provide a name for your function app, and then you can scroll down here, and there are other options for customization here, but at the end of the day, just provide your resource group name and Azure service plan and the region, which is, by the way, the same region that I configured here. Okay, so remember that. Yes, after that, I can use Maven to deploy the application. I have the easy steps here. Again, the blog post is there on Medium for you, along with the source code. I used Maven just to create a FAS application from scratch with the Maven plugin for Azure Functions. So I create just the files to open that in a integrated development tool. I'm using Eclipse here, but you can also use IntelliJ or even VS Code with the Java extensions for VS Code. Yes, then you can go and build a package for this application. Remember to log into Azure, set your default subscription, and then I can deploy the application. I can execute that here now, okay? But before I do so, maybe I can just actually show you on the Azure side. As you saw, I have this resource group here. So everything, as you can see here, will be provisioned with a single command from the command line with Maven, okay? And the same query that I run here at the end of the day, it is actually related to this application here. It's just a simple Azure Functions application, FAS application, nothing special here. I have the connection URL, database username and password, database results query. I think the query statement is the same one that I executed from the SQL Actions dashboard here, okay, actually here. And yes, but the application here, just this is just the query execution side. But before I show that, I will revert to it. Functions app, you can see the typical imports here for function applications, the HTTP trigger, status, the method, request and response messages, quite simple here. I just include get and post as HTTP methods or HTTP verbs, the authorization level is anonymous. And I then just have that processed. I capture a couple of request parameters, name and the year, just to perform the database query. And then I delegate the database query actually to this class here, which is this one here, as I showed you. I retrieve the information from the config file, that file that I showed where you can configure the connection. And then I get the properties. I prepare the typical database query here. I create an Oracle data source, which is a pooled data source. I set the database connection details. I get a database connection or Oracle connection. I can also retrieve metadata if I want. After that, I just delegate it to a method that I created, do SQL work, which is effectively just a simple prepare the statement query. So I bind the parameters name and year that we captured from the HTTP request here, and then I execute the query. I process the result set, and then I just create a string that I return to the functions app, which will then send that to my browser. So this query here, and you can see the customer city is Hoofddorp in the Netherlands. So I can just go here. You can see the same parameters here as part of my URI. So I just click here, and I get the same results. Okay. What else? Yes. So here, remember, oh yeah. And the last step now, I can just show you how easy it is, with this option here to deploy the Azure Functions app. So I just run this Maven command here. Oh, by the way, it is reconfiguring, I guess, my application. But then it will perform everything. It can even check if you have an existing application. So if that's a redeployment, for example, all the tools are being instantiated here. You will see some messages being echoed with some details about my environment. And then everything that you can see here, this, the app insights for this application, function app service plan, and so on, everything will be provisioned automatically by using this function app. That was this Maven tool and the option for Azure Functions. When I have that deployed, so I don't have to be worried about anything else, monitoring, security, networking, and so on. Everything is there for you. Because remember, again, my database is running on the Oracle side. You can see the domain here is actually Oracle, although it resembles Azure. And then I have the application deployed to Azure, and I can run it from my tool on the Oracle side, or I can go and just call my functions application and get the results. And the functions app is quite easy and simple indeed to work with. Yes, so let me revert to my presentation. So the key takeaways here, as I said, if you have a scenario where perhaps that would be a good option for you in terms of simplifying this IT transformation and modernization customer to your customers, and as a consultant as well, that might ease things for you. This is another option that you might consider, we have this unified user experience with a kind of single pane of glass, not only for the management and provisioning steps, but also monitoring on the Azure side. The benefits in terms of this interconnect integration, and also remember, as I told you, egress and ingress data is not charged, if you have this deployment, and so your customer might be able to reduce costs and save money as well. Many different options in terms of the database. Last step, I have the official announcement here where you can see both Satya and Larry Ellison presenting the service. It's quite interesting presentation. If you want, by the way, you can send me a message on social media, and I'll be more than happy to provide you a copy of this deck. My blog, with the steps, documentation, the official one that I showed you, the blog post on Oracle developers as well, our developer.oracle.com, we have also a profile on Medium that you can explore. And once again, as I said, if you want to, get all the information and, get access to my deck, or maybe the source code, everything else, or ask some questions. In case I don't have all the answers, I can connect you with the guys, at Oracle, who are the solution architects and solution engineers that focus on that, and that's everything. Or if you just want to, add me to your network as well, as a professional, I'm more than happy to connect with you. Okay. That's everything. I think we have a kind of a Q&A fika session after this presentation here. Let me just show you, the provisioning step is happening here. It takes a short while, but that's exactly how it works. Okay. So let me stop sharing. And thanks again for the opportunity
Yes.
to introduce you to this another tool that you can use. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Juarez, for the great session. A lot of things to learn there for everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, we don't have any questions as I can see in the screen. Everyone likes it's quiet, but I do have a question in myself because I've been in a project where we do have Oracle databases. I mean on-prem, but I
Mhm.
know that there's in that project there's a thought to move to Azure or to the cloud. So my question to you is what are the best practices or advice that you can give to people or developers or organizations who are thinking to migrate their Oracle workloads to Azure or integrated multi-cloud or hybrid?
Yes, no, that's a very good question. Thank you very much. Yes, as I told you, there is no true or wrong or false here or right or wrong. The thing is that it depends on how far your customer is in terms of maturity, and being acquainted with all those things in terms of complexity and so on. You can, of course, deploy Oracle databases to Azure. You know that's available usually as an option from the Azure Marketplace. But if you do so, what you perhaps will miss is the opportunity to abstract all the database related tasks, things like patching, as I said, which is quite important in terms of security and cybersecurity, for example, and avoiding some breaches, fine tuning and performance optimization as well. And I can tell you that actually, of course, as you may infer, the Oracle database runs optimally on top of the Oracle Cloud, because Oracle worked with as an engineering system to optimize the environment. And but in terms of maturity, as I told you, if you want to simplify this journey and allow your customer to migrate easily and then sustain that in an easy way, so perhaps the ODSA service is an option. Yes, and I understand the scenario as well because some customers usually they have that deployed to an on-prem server, and regardless which hardware platform we are talking about, and you can have a number of different hardware providers, but usually they are approaching the end of life for that hardware platform as well. So instead of reacquiring new hardware servers and a new platform, for example, it makes more sense to move to the cloud now. At some point they will have to modernize, so I'm not sure if it is still worth to acquire hardware service that at some point will face a depreciation and some constraints again. So
Yes,
yeah.
thank you for that. I mean, the ODSA for Oracle, is that something that you can apply also for .NET application, or there's some limitation for only Java on that?
No, everything you can do
Everything.
that with.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
.NET, because Azure is quite interesting because Azure now runs everything in terms of languages and open source. So you can do that for Golang apps, Python apps, JavaScript, .NET, and C Sharp, and so on. Even Rust now. So
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for
mm,
your answer on that. I don't think we do have questions from our audience today, but maybe some will come up more questions when we have our after session fika. But do you have any sessions coming or events coming that you want to share to our audience, Junior? Initiatives that you might want to invite them aside from connecting with you, of course.
Yes, I think that interesting to this community is the we are about to start the Azure Sprinkling,
Yeah,
uh,
that one, yes.
event next week. So yes, I'm participating there as well. So yes, and of course I'm talking about this one because there are so many great presentations about all things Azure and Microsoft. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the one that I would like to refer to.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. I think this is a good session because multi-cloud talks or session actually is not so much, I mean, not spread out in the community. So it's good to have this like hybrid and multi-cloud talks and knowledge that we share within the community. So this has been great.
I do agree. Yes, and remember the benefit is the abstraction in terms of hiding the complexity and so on, because everyone is talking about multi-cloud, but it is not something quite straightforward to implement.
No,
It's really
that's
difficult.
right. Yes. And then if you do multi-cloud, you need to understand the two sides of the world, right? You need to understand Azure, you need to understand the other side of the cloud. Like, so it can be complex, especially that some organizations are also not ready for change, and sometimes you need to do changes in order to move forward. So so I'm
Exactly.
glad that the community can help with some knowledge to developers or those that are watching us today. All
Yeah, and
right.
you said
I
it.
Yes.
Sorry, just one last one. You said it right, because there's no better option than having Microsoft and Oracle to implement that for you, and address the complexity and all the hurdles. So you can just go and focus on giving your customers solutions.
Yes, that's right. How one last question before we end our session and share our Fika link to everyone, since others are quiet, so I'm gonna ask all the questions. How is Microsoft I mean, based on your experience and you working with developer relations and Oracle and you in the Microsoft community as well, do you see that there's a big trend or collaboration happening between cloud providers in terms of multi-cloud and hybrid in terms of working together, so these technologies work with together?
I think so,
Hmm.
because that's not a trend, but actually it reflects
Reflects,
the
yes.
reality in terms of the environments customers usually have, and the deployments, for example. Because at the end of the day, when you talk, let's say, about a massive telecom provider, for example, they have Azure, they have Oracle databases, they have possibly tools from other players as well. So they have people who are trained in those technologies. So it is not so easy to ask your existing team members and the professionals to focus specifically on a given tool, for example. Or if you have, I don't know, 20% of your guys doing Oracle and 40% doing Azure and so on, to say, no, now everyone has to focus on Azure and blah, 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 So they are just trying to actually reflect what they have running, as existing and mission critical systems at the minute. So that's actually a reflection of reality in terms of requirements. So that's a good thing anyway, because it does not have to be exclusive. This collaboration, I use it to advocate for blockchain, for example. That's another example, because when it started years ago, actually we used to talk about different blockchain networks and platforms, but now there are some initiatives as part of the community and the industry as well, to kind of create this convergence in terms of the blockchain protocols, data formats, and the integration between the different blockchain related networks as well. And at the bottom we have the cloud environments and solutions. So yeah, that's natural to it.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, we're about to end our session. So, thank you so much, Juarez, for sharing your knowledge. And we look forward to chatting more with you on our after session Fika. And do you know what Fika is, by the way, Juarez?
Wow, I understand what it is in practical terms, but the meaning, no.
No, it's the it's spelled Fika. It's the Swedish word for having a break and having coffee, something sweet, either digital or on in person to chat with friends or colleagues. So we started that in Azure User Group Sweden because we're doing live streamings remotely since the COVID times. So we decided we need to interact more with our community. So we thought those who wants to have to spend time with us on weekends, then they can join us, have coffee or tea, and then just have a chat with the speaker like you.
Oh,
So
that's
that's the
amazing.
fika. Yes, it's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
culture thing.
I can use that now next time when you have an opportunity to go to Sweden and Stockholm. I've
Yes.
been there twice, so I'll tell my friends, okay, so we should get together and have a fika session.
Yeah, sure, sure. You can use it as a small talk conversation when you're in Sweden. All
Absolutely.
right. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in with us. And I hope that to see you also on our Zoom meeting today. And if ever you forgot to scan the learner, Azure Heroes Learner Badger, you can scan this QR code, or you can do a replay of this recorded session. And I think Hokan is going to share, or maybe not yet. We will be having this Zoom link, bit.ly linked for our Zoom meeting at 1 in 3 minutes. So feel free to join us and prepare your questions for Junior today. So, all right. Thank you so much, Junior, and see
My
you
pleasure.
next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.